All right, shalom, shalom. First off, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto
To Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Achakwadash.
I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. This is the GMS Fort Nebraska. Just brother Yatazakba here with
You call him off?
Kawashab.
Khan. And in this lesson, what we wanted to get into is how here in America, we're about to go through kind of a Great Depression 2.0. Based off of prophecy, we know that this economy is going to crash. We know that this dollar is going to fail. And in this lesson, what we want to get into is basically giving a comparison between now and what was going on during the Great Depression, patterns that we see, showing how based off of things that was going on back then, we see similar things going on now that's pointing towards that, like a Great Depression today, and just get into it, get into some scriptures, Lord willing, the lesson is edifying. Do y'all brothers have a precept y'all want to start with? Okay. So, as a matter of fact, I think I'll start with this precept real fast. Because this precept is really going to ring true as we go throughout this lesson and speak on the different points. I'm going to start off with that second Ezra chapter 16 real fast.
Come on.
Okay, this is second Ezra chapter 16 verse 21, which says, "Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion." And that's the thing. We're living in that time where victuals are cheap upon the earth, which is going into a couple things. One of them victuals being cheap, things are accessible. You can get up and go to the stores, and things are in these stores. We have that conveniency of being able to go and buy fast food. Life is in a comfortable kind of state, even though money is getting tight, which which is going into what we're speaking on today. We're still in a comfortable state to where we ain't confused or scared about how we going eat our next meal, and these stores and the shelves ain't empty and things like that. But the thing is, the scripture is saying that people gonna think that everything all good because victuals are gonna be so good cheap upon earth, but then the Lord is gonna pull the rug underneath these people's feet, and that's when them evils are going to come. And so that's kind of what we want to speak on today. I'll let the brother take it away. You want to get into his points. But what the brother's going to get into is kind of what led to the Great Depression taking place. And I'll just let him go ahead and get into it.
Gone. So I was doing a little bit of research. I got some notes here. We're going to get a quote from a paper that was written. It's called "The Great Depression as a Credit Boom Gone Wrong" by Barry Eichengreen and Chris Michener. Basically, just to kind of summarize the key points, it's saying that major economic downturns are often preceded by the same sequence: easy credit, heavy borrowing, rising asset prices, speculation, higher housing costs, economic strain, and then the collapse. So in that order. Basically, I'm just going to go right into it. Page 5, it says, "We conclude that the credit boom view provides a useful perspective on both the boom of the 1920s and the subsequent slump. In particular, it directs attention to the role played by the structure of the financial sector in the interaction of finance and innovation." And basically, just in simple terms, it means the passage establishes the foundation of the credit boom, interpretation. So, just real quick, what it means is the authors argue that the 1920s economy was inflated by excessive borrowing, aggressive lending, rapid financial innovation, and then when the credit reversed, the slump became inevitable. All right.
And we're living in that time today where through this debt-based system with this credit, people just borrow and borrow and borrow. That's how people stay afloat. That's how people survive. You know, because the thing that you'll see with the Great Depression and today is that what they have in common is that the buying power was very small. You know, your dollar wasn't doing much. But the difference between the Great Depression is that they were dealing with deflation versus today you're dealing with inflation. That's why when you kind of look up and try to see comparisons between the Great Depression and now, a lot of people will say that there isn't similarities, but there are, because they're just going off of the fact that it was a deflationary period back then, to where, you know, things got so cheap that these companies had to pay their workers less, and so people were making less money, but all the debts that they owed were still the same price, so it was harder for them to pay them debts off. And so that means that, you know, now they wasn't paying debts off. Banks was failing because these people wasn't paying off they, you know, loans and debts and things that their mortgages, things that they own to the banks. So people couldn't borrow money, and then since people couldn't borrow money, that means that people wasn't buying stuff at the stores. The stores had to lower their prices, and the cycle just continued and continued and continued to where now, since the stores is lowering their prices, they gotta pay their workers less. That's what was going on back then. To where today, the issue that you're having is that there's so many dollars in the economy that, you know, you can have ever so much money, but now the things in the stores are getting more expensive. Back then, a loaf of bread would be super cheap, but you didn't have any money. So even though that bread was cheap, you couldn't buy it. Today, you got money, but now the stuff is getting so expensive to that even though you got money, this stuff in the stores, the prices are increasing, but the wages aren't increasing to match up with the prices. So we're getting into a same space to where, you know, it's like now you're, you know, from past years, you're going to the stores and you're leaving with less stuff.
Right.
And it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's going to get to a hyperinflationary point, you know, and there's different things going on which are causing these things. You know, do y'all brothers have any points?
Yeah, like, and on top of that, that's a beautiful point. Because on top of that, with not only the prices going up, you gotta also insert within there that shrinkflation. You know, because as the prices and things is going up, the value of the dollar is meaning less and less when you go to the stores or to the pump.
Yeah.
With shrinkflation specifically, you paying more for less product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when you know, people can concur out there at this point when you go to the store, you go, let's say you get like a bag of chips or something. A quarter of the bag got chips in it. A quarter of the bag. But you paying not that same 25 cent or $1.20. You paying like $1.69 for a quarter of the bag. You know what I'm saying? So that's like I said, that's a beautiful point the brother brought up, because essentially that is, America's doing that because there's less product that they can put out there, but they still gotta keep shit rolling. You know, but something that you mentioned that I looked up and I wanted to bring out real quick, and I'll give it back to whoever has it. As far as debt keeping a country operating, well, I put specifically America. Does debt keep America operating? And it says yes. The national debt is critical for the U.S. government to operate, and as it funds government activities through borrowing. While the government currently uses extraordinary measures to continue operating despite hitting debt limit, the long-term sustainability of this debt is a major concern, potentially leading to higher interest costs and economic risk. You know what I'm saying? So this is how, like the brother's going into, you're paying more for things, receiving less. The dollar it has less value. It's not backed by anything on top of that. Mm-hmm. So that shows you how it has no really true stability, you know, but at the same time, going back into what you're saying, that goods being cheap upon earth too. You know what I'm saying? Because everything looks good, abundance. It looked like everybody's getting these so-called raises, but at the same time, the debt is continuing to grow, and everybody, especially the middle class or this is a term that the Elder Yashawamba used. I like to use it beautifully. There's no middle class, but there's like a richer poor type of deal. I forget the exact term.
It's like an upper lower class almost.
Right. You know, so that's becoming more and more on the forefront. at this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, that's all I want to.
That's
bring
that
up.
wealth gap, you know,
Right.
where you got you got poor and rich getting further apart from each other, you know. And I wanted to go into my next point, just kind of going into some connections between, you know, what was going on with the Great Depression back then, or before the Great Depression happened, and then what's going on in the years prior to 2025. Okay, some similarities is, you know, credit was booming. You know, debt was high across households, corporations, governments. Rents and mortgages rising rapidly, straining households and businesses. You know, and the same thing with it's almost like the stock market. You know, they're playing with the prices of the housing, and then now they buying up all these houses, these rich people, and then but nobody's dwelling in them. You know, because it's just to make a profit out of it. And that's what's going on in 2025. It's like the houses are going up and up in value, but nothing's changed. It's the same old house, you know.
But it's basically less houses to available. So now that house is more expensive because there's less of them, you know, for people to buy.
Exactly. Yep. That's exactly right.
You know, and the thing is it's not just the housing. You know, like we spoke on, the food is getting more expensive, the housing is getting more expensive, but childcare is more expensive, healthcare is more expensive, and the thing is, when you simultaneously you have these things going on, and what just happened? They cut the SNAP benefits. You know, so it's making things just more and more difficult for people to sustain themselves, to where, you know, people are in need. They're looking for a solution. You know. And so, what was y'all brothers speaking about with the tariffs? One of y'all was going into the tariff act that was causing things to get worse as well.
There's the Smoot-Hawley tariff act, right? Which doing some research on that. That was the purpose of that was it was to put some type of relief on the economic system. Pretty much that's around the same time that Scott-Hawley Act came out. That was around the time with Social Security, right? Roughly about in the same area that's where now with Social Security, that was issued because was that post Civil War? You know, once America got done with that war, they couldn't fund all the building. You know what I'm saying? So they had essentially they had to borrow from Europe. Right, and when they couldn't pay back those expenses, that essentially led to that death, and that Scott-Hawley Act was to give relief to the farmers. You know what I'm saying? To give relief to those, because with a tariff, the thing is when you're putting tariffs on these different countries, different exporting countries, you know, that are buying your product, then once you're doing that, I guess some of those places, some of those like China, not Venezuela, China, a couple other places. God damn, Salakia.
You look it up real fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
I'll look it up for you, Salakia.
But you know, when you put these taxes on these people, because that's like the Apostle Tahar coined it. You know, upon the research I've done, also upon that statement, it is just a fancy word for a tax. When you start taxing these people and you're charging more for that specific product like corn or some natural resource, then guess what? All right, well, that's too expensive for me. I can't pay that. Or I don't want to pay that. So, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere else. So now when they go somewhere else, what does that mean for their supplier, America? They're going to have to find somewhere to make up these funds. Because we're not getting that money from China no more. They're not buying it like they used to. You know, they're not buying corn like they used to. They're not buying wheat like they used to. So now we got to go somewhere else, and you eventually have to make up for that. How you do that? By putting debt on the citizens.
Right.
Well, you go ahead.
And then on top of that, Salakia, I did want to just mention a couple of these countries real fast, because China, like you mentioned, India. The U.S. is putting tariffs on Japan, Canada, Mexico, you know, and like the brother said, this is where, you know, where deals was being done to where the U.S. was getting, you know, their food, you know, their steel, their oil, you know, all these different things, you know, and that's, you know, hurting the economy because these countries basically say, you know what, we just ain't going to deal with you no more. You know, it backfired on the U.S. basically with these tariffs that they was doing. You know, now at the same time, can you grab Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 3, Baba Kushab, because at the same time as you have these factors, you also have job loss. That's a major similarity between now and the Great Depression, because during the Great Depression, job unemployment was the highest that it's ever been before. Now, the percentage, when you look up the statistics, they're gonna say that it's not nowhere near the job loss that there was before, which there's truth to it. But we have to keep in mind we're dealing with an inflationary period, to where even though unemployment is only about at 5%, you have a lot of people amongst the employed to where they're barely making enough money to get by. They're making minimum wage jobs or it's part-time jobs, so that unemployment, there's a large percentage of it that's not truly spoken of when you look up these different numbers. To where they're living paycheck to paycheck, and it's like if you lose your job for a week or two, you on the verge of disaster. Yeah. It's almost up for you. Now, that unemployment rate is rising because you got AI taking people's jobs, you got these robots taking people's jobs, and that's only going to get worse and worse. You already got these different technocrats, Esau, saying that we ain't gonna need humans for a lot of things, that these robots are more efficient than humans when it comes to doing these certain jobs, and we see them coming in and taking these different call center positions. These different positions where it's just like talking, even like when you go to fast food places, a lot of them, when you get to the radio, it's a robot that's talking to you. These different manufacturing jobs, they got robots in these factories that's coming in and doing the jobs that humans would once do. Well, we can grab that Ecclesiastes 12 and 3 though.
Khan, I got you. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few.
The grinders cease because they are few. That's the time that we're coming into. Those grinders are speaking about workers. Just like you have people who have jobs or that's getting like that's trying to get money. They say that they grinded. Well that's getting lower and lower. A lot of jobs, a lot of stores are closing and they're moving to just doing online like businesses. So that's going to do what? That's cutting out a lot of cashier jobs, a lot of retailing positions. Cool. We're seeing a lot of these different a lot of chains just shutting down completely.
Gone.
A lot of job cuts.
Oh yeah, thousands upon thousands. There was I just spoke to the brother Yatazak about it before camp. Verizon's cutting 14,000 jobs, starting in September 30th.
Let me see. Major. You got something you was about to say?
No. I was thinking. I was trying to think of the term because what is the BCI? Because you mentioned with the jobs being cut because even during with the shutdown, a lot of people is like a 750K federal workers that lost their jobs. Amazon like 48,000. Like you just mentioned with that, but a beautiful point the brother brought in was with the these AI robots coming in and taking a lot of these jobs too. It's going to be forcing a lot of these people who are losing those positions to rely on a system to take care of them. And guess what? The majority of us, I'm gonna say us because we've been in Babylon, man. We've been in Babylon. So I'm just saying generally, we've been here relying on a system. We've been relying on getting paid every week or bi-weekly, getting paid a salary, so on and so forth.
Welfare, benefits.
All this shit. So once all that is gone, or if you don't have a job to go to receive that paycheck, and they're saying, hey, well, all you got to do is sign up for this, and that, and we'll give you X amount of dollars, so you'll be sufficient.
That UBI, the Universal Basic Income.
That's what it is. What was I saying? BCI? UBI. That's what the UBI.
And I wanted to get into that, after we was making the points, because that's the thing. Esau believes in order out of chaos, and the thing is whether the chaos is natural or orchestrated, Esau will come in with a solution, like the brother is saying, the UBI. We see Esau setting a stage, creating an issue and a problem to where, like, look at the system of debt that we're under. Look how the U.S. dollar is just going up. If you look up the U.S. debt clock, it's 36 or 37 trillion dollars in debt. Every second, that's $100,000 more going up in debt. You can never pay that off. This system is destined to fail, and it was always destined to fail, because what this system was supposed to do is get people used to it, get people ingrained in it. Like, this is all, like, the only thing that people depend on, and then once it fails, they're going to need whatever else Esau provides them afterward, like the brother is saying. You know, and so so like I got like a couple.
Go ahead, you got it.
Con, this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
And that thick clay is the Hebrew word ibatya, which is going into debt. Now it says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. You know, so ultimately it's going to be destruction to Esau's system because of this wicked usury-based system that he's in. But he has it to where even the citizens have to depend on debt and these things. They spending money that they don't really got. And if your whole life is held up on a foundation of debt, having to pay this off all the time, you using money that you don't really got, eventually it's going to topple over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a house of cards.
It's a house of cards. So woe unto him that's increasing that which is not his. Woe to him that ladeth himself in thick clay. Everybody laden in thick clay at this point. While there's debt that people under, you know, and it's so. But you got a precept too, bro.
Because it's Isaiah 30 and verse 13, which this is like just getting into this specifically. It's more speaking about like Jake, you know, specifically Jake. But with this specific passage, it applies to everyone, right? This Isaiah 30 and verse 13. It says, Therefore this iniquity should be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breakage coming suddenly at an instant." You know, and like, as I said before that, I was talking about perverseness and oppression, you know, which, you know, the nation of Israel, we did that by leaning on to Esau Edom's system, you know, leaning on to him, his ways, his idols, so on and so forth. And if you think about it, also it can apply to those benefits, and too, because I seen a video where this chick, she was mad as hell. She's talking about going back to that crisis where everybody's sitting in their cars. Yeah, this chick, she's in the car. She's talking about, you supposed to. I pay my taxes. Y'all supposed to take care of my kids. Y'all supposed to feed my. Well, that's because why? How are? Because you're relying on government taxes. You're relying on government assistance. You're relying on all these things that Esau Edom provides. And it's not just Jake. It's the whole world. You heathens too. Everybody's stressed the fuck out, man. But guess what? This is something that's been written aforetime, that these type of times were gonna come, where people were going to be in high distress, right? We was always supposed to lean upon Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, but here it is. We're here. We're at where we're at. Now it says those that are relying solely on that is going to be, as it says, a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking coming suddenly at an instant. And we're seeing that breaking coming right now, man. You know?
And that's the thing. You know, because the scriptures say that we would go to our enemy for the want of all things, but they, you know, these 2/3 are at a point to where they are okay with depending on Esau for everything. They want to be under the shadow of Egypt. The difference, the scriptures say, use this world is not abusing it. The thing that, you know, the hopeful elect have been building up in is faith, is building up their relationship with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, that when the time comes and Esau brings a solution that causes you to turn away from the Lord, we have been going into the secret place of the Lord. When everything fails and we need a solution and we don't know how we going to eat, the Lord going divinely intervene. There's going to be some type of miracle that's placed.
Mm-hmm.
But these people don't understand that level of faith.
Well, the thing is, the Lord had put it on the spirit of his men to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
So our people can be adequately prepared in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, because we got to rely on Esau too.
Yeah.
Just because we're not in the world, we still rely on Esau too, man. Housing, and I mean,
Yeah.
not how like as far as housing vouchers and things like that, but we got to pay rent.
Yeah, we got to pay rent. We
You know
got
what
to
I'm
pay
saying?
these bills.
Utilities. We're in the same boat, but at the same time, that's through the spirit, man. Brother speaking about being pilgrims.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we're at the same time we understand we need these things, but we're preparing our mind to like, damn, we might not have this. We might have this shit pretty soon.
Because when all this stuff crash, we gonna feel that crash as well. But it's
Yeah.
like, are you gonna go under the shadow of Egypt, or are you gonna go under the shadow of the wings of the Lord?
Yeah.
You know, there's gonna be, because in 2025, this is the worst year for job cuts in a couple of decades, since like 2008 or 2009. In 2025, we got AI taking over everything.
God.
And the thing is, and this is why we wanted to make the comparison between the Great Depression, because we saw how in that time in history how bad things got. Now today, people don't even understand how close the time that we're in resembles the time of the Great Depression, because people are distracted by sports, by all these movies coming out, by vacations, by fun and all these different things. They don't even understand that here shortly a rug is about to be pulled from underneath everybody.
I'm gonna say 2008, 2009. That's when that recession was going on.
And that's what the brother was bringing out, that not only is there a large comparison between now and the Great Depression, but there's also a large comparison between now and 2008.
Because before a depression, you pretty much have a recession.
Mm-hmm.
Depression is pretty much a recession on a dramatic scale, for lack of a better word. You know, when there's no, you're not really getting any income coming in. I think I was talking to you about that. I think maybe one of y'all. I thought it was one of y'all. We was talking about the recessions and all of that. But yeah, the AI taking over, and it's not really too much money coming in, and I'm pretty sure the brothers covered it. But at the end of the day, it's a new system. They want a new system.
And that guy that's doing the brain chips, the guy that's working with all those robots, he's the same guy saying, "Oh, we need that universal basic income. That's what's good. That way, you only have to work for fun, you know."
You go, yeah,
painting a certain picture, you know.
I got a precept.
Setting the stage.
This is Sirach chapter 12 verse 10, which says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away." And I bring that out because, like the brother said, Elon Musk and all these different people who's coming and going to bring this solution of a UBI, these digital alternatives, and ultimately, the MOTB to be a solution to all the problems going on with the economy and society in general. They going to act like they going to come, like it says, Satan himself has transformed into an angel of light. Like they're doing something good. Like they're really helping. Like they care. But the thing is, these people are the people that's behind the situation we in the first place. They did it on purpose. And so when they come with these solutions, that's just for you to be herded, for them to control you, for you to be underneath their beast system, their new world order.
Yeah.
But it's not going to seem like that. It's not going to seem evil when you haven't been able to eat and you haven't been able to pay your bills and do all these different things. And then he says, "Oh, well, if you do this, we can bring all them comforts back that you was able to enjoy before." It's not going to seem like an evil thing from the naked eye, from face value,
That's a great example.
This is the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. It says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And just like the brother was mentioning, because that is one thing that Esau Edom does, is he will present it a pleasant package You know what I'm saying? Hey, even though the $2,000 stimulus things, even though that fell through, a lot of people were excited about it. That's all you was hearing about during the time of that shutdown. $2,000. Oh, everybody gonna bounce back. And that's how it looks in the eyes. Like, we good. Okay, we can't. You know, certain people can't go to work, so these $2,000 stimulus checks might be all right. You know what I'm saying? This might help us get through. You know what I'm saying? Until they figure this shit out. You know, then the government open back up. But just as an example, giving out these different incentives. You know what I'm saying? Or not incentives, but benefits. All right. That's why I can I get one more precept.
Yeah, of course.
It's Job chapter 20 and verse 10. It says, "His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods." You know, and that's and on the same lines. Esau Edom trying as in an appearance to seem like he's helping the people out. He's a people person. I'm gonna give you these benefits. I'm gonna give you these food stamps. I'm gonna give you housing. Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about paying. We give you an extension on this. Pretty much, you're in like on a late bill, right? They're in appearance of aid, right? But at the end of the day, when we look back at the stimulus checks, when we look at that, essentially, that's something that we're gonna regret, because once we start relying on it so much and it's taken away, now it's like, damn, what do we do? Because we have nothing else, right? And I'm saying this in a general statement as far as Americans. We have nothing else because we've been built to rely on what Esau Edom is providing us. You know?
I got a precept for it. This is Sirach chapter 12 and verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
Because at the end of the day, in that pit is like a trap. You know, that MOTB is a trap at the end of the day. You know, when you get into that, you know, what it prophesies in Revelation 13-16 of that mark, is the Greek word charagma, and that charagma is basically a stamp that is basically marking you as Esau's cattle, as his slave, as his you know, you on his side now instead of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But Esau gonna speak them smooth words that's gonna caress you into that trap, you know.
Yep. And it continues. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
Right, so Esau don't really care.
Read the next one too, bro.
Come on. Verse 17. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first.
If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. Because who created this system? Esau created it. So when all these evils start to come, and it starts to fail, who's responsible for it? He is. You know, when all this chaos that we about to come into, the system crash, you know, SNAP benefits being cut, all these things, people losing their minds, Esau been orchestrating and putting in things to make that happen.
That's the Order of Kale.
Yep.
What's the old boy name? Mysterio.
Con.
He create the crisis and he come in to be the hero. That's what Esau is.
That's a fire example.
You know what I'm saying? That's how exactly he's creating all these problems. He come in, he saved the day, and you look at him as if he's the hero. You know, you have no choice but to look at him. And us being Spider-Man, he like, yo, these are the bad guys.
Exactly. I was just about to say.
That's why I said it before you did. That's how you look at me.
God.
My spider senses was tingling. He was still there.
God. Yep.
But that adversity come first, he's right there. And though he pretend to help you, he will undermine it. He's not really going to care what you can get out of it. He's just caring what he can get out of it at the end of the day. And what he got planned for your life. And that's him playing the Most High, man.
What was the end of that? Sirach 12?
Sirach 12 and 17. It says, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. Yeah.
Is a little bit more to that?
Let's see the next verse.
I'll wait for the precept.
Yeah, next verse says, he will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. You know?
Okay, cool. So I thought it was a partner who said he would not be satisfied with blood. That's before or after.
That's a mirror precept to that one. I can grab.
You know, but you know, hey, just like with a mortgage, you know what I'm saying? A mortgage is literally a death note. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I don't look. This is my prices on this house. This is the yearly tax. You know, no, I don't know the ins and outs of all of this. So I'm just going off of what I do know.
Well, you pay your mortgage, though. You own the house, but it take forever to pay it off for the most part. But once you own it, you still don't own it because you don't own the land. You don't own the property. He won't let you get the property. He'll let you get what's on the property because he's on the property. He owns what's on the property. You know what I'm saying? I think it was the NDAA Act that they passed a while. Everything that we have, they can confiscate your car. They can confiscate your house. Like, this is what we dealing with. We dealing with a man that will make it seem like you own what you have. And you think, oh, because I work for it, that is mine. You don't even own your kids. He got them 8 hours a day. And you working 8 hours. Then everybody come home. Everybody's tired and want to wind down, and there is no more family game night. There is no more, barely any family dinners, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's completely destroyed the family's order, in a sense. You know? Got, shit, the fucking single mothers, I think black women, dang, I forget. I was looking at this thing, screenshot I took a while ago. But I think it said that they was at like 47. It was something 7%. And it's just like, it's no hope. And guess who was under them?
Was it Esau? No, Esau. I think it was his Hispanic.
Yep, Hispanic was right up under them. Our people, you know, our households. That's what he's out to destroy. That's what he want to get rid of. He don't. Everybody else is just collateral damage. Innocent bystanders. They're just extras to the movie. He want to get us. We the one that have the blessing. You know?
That's that perpetual hatred.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never going to stop until he gets stopped. Which the Lord on his way back.
I got a precept real quick. This is Matthew 24:32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. You know, just going into how, like, you see all these signs happening, how everything's going digital, everybody's getting herded into a corner, all right? To do what? To get that chip. So we know that Yahushai's coming is nigh. You know, we're in that time. Verse 33 says, so likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.
Yeah. And to compliment that brother, like the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter says, is when thou seest part of the signs, you know, then shall you know. So just to compliment that, because the Most High made these things, they're plain, but at the same time they're not plain. You know, because they're plain to those whom He given understanding. They're not plain to those who haven't. But at the same time, it's still being made plain because you have the men that are making it plain, that have been made plain too, making it plain, be it through the Lord. That makes sense. You know, so this is why the Most High said in these times for all of us, there's no cloak for your wickedness.
Yeah.
Roughly paraphrasing, because everything's put out there.
Because the scriptures say this gospel shall be preached unto all the world, then the end shall come. So you know, it's gonna make it. It's gonna make its rounds, basically. You know, everybody is going you know, hear this gospel. Everybody's gonna get this news before the end comes. Ain't gonna be no excuse like, oh, I didn't know. You drove past them people on the corner. You drove past the men on the corner all them times.
Yeah.
You know, you seen them come up on your YouTube feed. You know, so
Yeah, it's out there. You know, even Trump said, prophets have said that the world will end in the Middle East. You know,
Shoot, that Drewski skit. You know, you're gonna have more of that with like famous, like popular people putting this for lack of better words, like the Israelite thing out there. You know, so
This thing of ours.
this thing of ours, you know, so.
You know, on top of that, you got, you know, on the backhand of the prophets, you got whistleblowers. You know, Esau's own people. You know what I'm saying? And what the whistleblowers are they just helping complement what the what the men of the Lord been saying through the Spirit, showing the other apostles on down, man, for years.
God.
You know.
I got a precept. This is Psalm 64 and verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away.
Mm-hmm. Just make the tongue to fall upon themselves. So like these prior FBI agents, CIA agents coming out and exposing certain plans with the weather and how they're operating with the food and doing certain things on the back end is now coming to the forefront via through these men who had direct intel.
That book, Behold a Pale Horse, it was an I believe it was ex-CIA agent, you know what I'm saying? Came out, and I ain't got into it yet, but you know, I heard about it, but spilling beans pretty much,
Cool.
you know?
You know, and that goes into how the Most High he's putting that he's the Most High is putting that spirit in the earth.
Cool.
These men that's whistleblowers, they don't, you know, they may or may not know. I don't, but at the end of the day, one thing that we do know from hearing them talk, that this is the Spirit of the Lord bringing out information that the prophets may not have known, that just complements what we believe.
God.
You know, the prophecies is going to be adamant first and foremost. All right, that's faithful and true in itself. But that's just not a cherry on top. Just a little whipped cream. You know what I'm saying on the dish.
Mm-hmm.
This is just helping further complement the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
God. And these men are also out here to let the people know, to let the Israel know what they need to do to be protected in that time, to be sustained in that time, you know, because it's, like I mentioned earlier, it's either you're going to go into Esau's route or the Lord's route. And with Esau's route, you'll be sustained for a time, but it makes you an enemy to the Most High, and there's destruction that comes with it. But the scriptures say in Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. These words, this knowledge that we have is going to, bring us through. It's going to keep us with, it's going to keep in mind for us that there's light at the end of this tunnel. So whatever we go through, we know that we're going to be good at the end of the day. We know that the Lord going to make something happen. We got the power on our side that made manna come from heaven. We got the power on our side that made water come from a rock, that kept our nation good in the wilderness for 40 years.
Bitter water sweet by a tree.
Like,
They created a tree in the military. I forget. The military knew about that too. It's a certain kind of tree. But like, you talking about a power that created a tree that can make bitter water sweet? You supposed to fight against him and win?
Like, come on. We talking about a power that's going to, that got angels surrounding us, protecting us.
Control your dreams. That's like in Egypt when it was pitch dark and they could feel the darkness, have that thick darkness, and they was seeing spirits and shit. Like,
but what?
Already lost, bro.
The nation of Israel had light in their dwelling though.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though you had gripping darkness in the land, the nation of Israel had light in their dwelling, and that's how it's going to be in this time for the elect. They're going to have light in their dwelling while this darkness is going on. And even in the times where these people get they, get their MOTB or they get whatever, thing that Esau going to give to them to help them out, and, it may seem like the elect is struggling. They still going to be good. They still going to be sustained, man.
God.
And we going to have to struggle a little bit. That's what comes with it. That's the condition of the battle. Because the Lord wants to see who going who's gonna make it past the hour of temptation. That's what it's all about, But it's a test, and if you pass it, salvation is at the end of that tunnel. That's what stays in mind with this wisdom and knowledge, So,
God, I got a precept. This is Isaiah 65:13. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, behold, my servant shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
Connor, we don't know exactly how that's going to come to pass. We don't know, the exact game plan. We don't got no step-by-step guide, but we got faith. And that's all we need. The scriptures say without faith it is impossible to please him. You know, it also says in that same chapter, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So as long as we have that, the Lord gonna make a way.
God.
You know, we have to continue to believe that. You know, what that scripture says that my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
God, yeah, it says, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
Right. So the Lord is gonna have us in a spirit to where we gonna be good, even though all this chaos and evil gonna be going on. We still gonna be like, man, like we know this what needs to take place for the end to come.
Exactly. We just that much closer to the kingdom.
Come,
you know?
come.
It's just a beautiful thing.
So, hey, with that being said, once again, we'll give all praise, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Chakodash.
I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.